All right, good morning, everyone. It is Monday morning, and yes, we have our participants for the finals. So last night, if you stayed up to watch it, I kind of did. I watched through the first few minutes of the first overtime, and then I had the video on my phone. I had an earpiece in, went to sleep, and was woken up by the shouts of Gus Ford scores. So, yeah, Carolina, third overtime of the playoffs, and they pull it out 2-1 over the River Dragons, and yeah, amazing. River Dragons, um, phenomenal season, but it just isn't enough. They aren't able to overcome the Carolina Thunderbirds. Um, it started off kind of the first period was kind of an anemic period, and Tom Callahan really made an interesting observation, which you usually don't hear a play-by-play guy talking about his own team like this, but he's like, boy, these guys look listless. They look lifeless. They just don't have it going this morning. Shots in the first period, only 6-3. It was a fairly physical period, not excessively so, but a lot of skating and a lot of puck movement, but just not a lot of shots on goal. There were a few blocks, but yeah, nothing was getting through the goalies. Mario Cavallari, he starts again for Carolina, and I think that was the right decision. Brendan Colgan for the River Dragons. Of course, Colgan's the guy that Bouchard is going to ride. So yeah, no scoring in the first period, and as I watched things, I just said it seemed like both teams were a little timid. They're afraid to make the mistake, so they play a very conservative game. So in the second period, things open up a little bit, at least for Columbus. It does. Their defense shuts down Carolina, holds Carolina to just 3 shots in the second period. Meanwhile, Columbus got its rhythm, got going, got 13 shots on goal, and one makes it by. It's Ryan Hunter scoring just past the halfway point of regulation, 10:33, and it is 1-0. So I was impressed, though, by Carolina, their ability to shut down Kyle Moore and Ryan Hunter and J-Mac. And I think Columbus was having a little bit more luck with their second and third lines, opening things up a little bit more. But anyway, so yeah, Ryan Hunter scores. And so it is now 1-0. We go into the third. And again, this is like what happened the day before, Carolina coming back, as well as in the first round against Port Huron. Just took them a while to come back and get going. But yeah, goal from an unlikely source. It is James Farmer scoring at 12:08 from the blue line, and just under the crossbar. Very small space between Colgan's shoulder and crossbar, and in it goes, and it's tied up. Shots were a little bit more even, but still, Columbus with the edge, 13-8. And meanwhile, Cavallari started to really light up. Big save after big save. Columbus turned up the heat offensively, and Cavallari was the brick wall. So we go to overtime, and like I said, I watched a few minutes of it, and I was like, I gotta go to bed. I gotta get to New York in the morning. No scoring in that opening period, but again, both Colgan. It seemed like every save that either Colgan or Cavallari made in this overtime was huge. It wasn't just like a simple little save. So both teams are now getting quality shots on goal and high danger chances. So we go to the second, or the second overtime. And this time it is Dawson Baker with a beautiful stretch pass, two-line pass, finds Gus Ford streaking down kind of center, but off to Colgan's left a little bit. And he wrists it home, and it is over 4:45. Gus Ford, who else would you expect in a big moment like this to give you the game winner? But yeah, it's Gus Ford just streaking a little bit past Carter Shinkarik, and yep, he puts the winner home. And it is a 2-1 victory for the Thunderbirds. Shots ended up at the end 42 for Columbus and 26 for Carolina, and Cavallari was the difference, and that's why Carolina is in a great situation. They've got two great goaltenders. They have both Cavallari and Karpinski, and so they're going to be riding Cavallari, I feel, as they begin the final series against Binghamton. Crowd last night, 2293. You know, it's tough on a Sunday to draw a good crowd. But yeah, 2,200 faithful there in Columbus. And that's the last that we see of the River Dragons this year. So they'll retool, come back, and we'll see if they can do it again next year. But for this year, it's Carolina for the second year in a row going to the finals. And it will be a best-of-5 finals because Carolina has more ice availability than Columbus did. So here we go. And now remember, Binghamton finished off the year with 120 points, Carolina 116. So Binghamton has a home ice advantage. So they're doing what they did last year. First 2 games in Carolina, and then the next 3 in Binghamton if we need to get to a 5th game, which personally, I think, yeah, it's probably going to be necessary. I mean, these two teams, they played each other during the regular season, and both teams won twice, once on each other's ice. So, yeah, it's going to be a really, really good series. And the lineups for both clubs are pretty much the same. There's a couple differences, but for the most part, I mean, it was, first half of the year when these two teams met before, but the lineups are relatively the same. Really hasn't been a whole lot of changes to the rosters. So what you saw earlier this year is, I think, what you're going to get. I think it's going to be a gritty, physical final. I think goaltending is going to shine. I think you're going to see lower scoring games. You're not going to have a 7-3 game or something like that. I think these games are going to be like 4-2, maybe 3-1. Good hard series. So here's the schedule. All right, next Friday the 3rd. Yep, it's May. The first game will be in Carolina at the Annex, or whatever they're going to be calling it now. I'm still going to call it the Annex. It's 7:35 start time. Saturday's game time will be 6:05, a customary earlier start on Saturday for Carolina. And then teams will take a break and reconvene the following weekend. We know, obviously, there's going to be at least one game in Binghamton, automatic. That would be Friday the 10th at 7 p.m. All right, since it takes 3 games to win a best-of-5, there's going to be at least the one. Game 4, if necessary, which I think it will be 7 o'clock on the 11th. I'm planning on being there for that game. And then Sunday, the 12th, 6 o'clock for Game 5, if necessary. I think it will be. I think this goes to full 5. And I haven't looked at all the numbers yet to make a prediction. It may get to the point where I literally do a coin flip and say, hey, Heads. Okay, that means this team wins. Um, yeah, or do like the octopus thing with picking the Super Bowl champion, whatever. So there you go. Yeah, it was a long weekend. Lots of overtime. 4 periods worth of overtime in 5 games. So that's a lot. All right. Thank you so much for watching. And tomorrow I will be on Facebook Live looking at what does next year look like as far as teams, possibly divisional alignment, all that kind of stuff. Nothing set in stone yet, so this is going to be purely prognostication and my best guess. But I think it's very likely that what I share is what we end up with. So there we go. Thank you so much for continuing to watch, and I appreciate it. Again, last Spotify podcast will be coming up this Thursday. The final Spotify podcast, the ability for me to record on Spotify is ending. So, yep, we're going to make Thursday our platform finale. And we'll just be here on YouTube and on Facebook. All right. Thank you so much. I got to get myself to the Bronx. All right. Have yourself a great week. And congratulations to the Binghamton Black Bears and the Carolina Thunderbirds and to the Columbus River Dragons as well for a fantastic season. All right. Take care, everyone. We will see you next time.